Welcome back to the Joust About Careers podcast. This episode features the highlights of the conversation with 2010 Van Buren graduate Madison Schwable, a speech language pathologist at the Hancock County Education Service Center. The highlights focus on a typical day for Madison, how this career does require extensive education, the positive and challenging aspects of this career, and much more. If you want to learn more about Madison's career journey, you can always watch or listen to her full interview. And if you find this podcast useful, please share it with someone else who could benefit from it. Enjoy the highlights, and I'll see you here next Monday for the last new episode of the 24-25 school year. Have a great week.
I guess a typical day for me, we have a schedule that we make at the beginning of each school year, and that's when we plan to pull kids. And I normally follow that pretty closely, but there are days, as you know, working in a school where things don't always pan out that way. But so I usually just kind of grab kids, and then I have a break here and there to maybe test kids if I need to, or write reports or meet with teachers. That kind of stuff, I guess. Typically, I pull them. I have like a small classroom, so I pull them to my classroom just because it's a lot easier to get something done with like 3 kids instead of 20. So typically that's what I do. Occasionally, I will pull in. I'm also in some of our like multiple disability units and behavior units. So those classrooms I might, but even those, it's better to just get them individually. You need it now. There are some states that allow like an SLP assistant. So an SLPA, like I think Illinois does. There's some states, but Ohio doesn't. So you have to have a master's degree to work. The one I was hired in about 5 years ago, and the one who retired before me didn't have her master's degree, like was grandfathered in. But everyone I work with now, you have to have it. After we graduate grad school, we have to do, it's called a clinical fellowship year. So we're not technically fully licensed, but I basically was on my own. I just had a supervisor that we met with once a month to talk about, oh, this is what you can improve on, or if I had questions or things like that. And then once you do that year, you get your certificate of clinical competence, which is CCC. So then that basically means you're fully licensed and you can completely work on your own. I have to do CEU. So yeah, but everything else would just be optional. Like I think if I want to teach eventually, I'd have to do a doctorate, but we don't need that to practice. I had speech when I was in grade school. I couldn't say my R's. So, and I loved it. Like it was, I still talk about it because some of the SLPs I work with actually knew my SLP. She used to do Bring a Friend to Speech Day, and it was like my favorite day, and everyone wanted to come with me. So like, it just was a really, like, I never saw it as like a bad thing to go to. So I try to make my kids feel that way too. So I always liked it. I wanted to do something kind of medical, but I don't like blood. So like I knew I couldn't do that. And I'm not great at like math and science. So my mom was like, what about a speech therapist? So that I was undecided, but either doing social work or speech. And then kind of as I took classes that were related to speech, I liked it. And then I realized I can do a lot more than just work in a school. So that was cool. I think a lot of people go into it thinking they're going to work in a school because that's all you know. Like I didn't realize the speech therapist worked in so many environments. After graduate school, I knew I wanted to do a nursing home or adult population. I really enjoyed it. And someone told me once when I was like job searching, they were like, you lose a lot of, because medical is so kind of intense, and you're teaching people it's like some people aren't able to eat and you're teaching them to eat normal food again. So like, it's kind of nerve wracking, I guess. And they're like, if you lose that once you stop practicing that. And so I kind of took that because I was like, you're right. So so that's kind of why I chose that route.
Mm-hmm.
And then, which I had some classmates that like, they did not want to work at all in a school. And then others who thought the opposite. And then once I just didn't enjoy, I always knew I'd end up in a school. That's kind of what my end all goal was.
Right.
And then once we kind of decided to start a family, I was like, oh, this is perfect timing. So,
right.
And I enjoy it. You can do like outpatient. So like your private practice, like people do that, but yeah, the majority is like hospitals, nursing homes, schools. Yeah, that's probably where you'd find your main, like even Findlay, they don't have a ton of outpatient. So there's always a waiting list. So I think it helps when there's someone to do it. Like I have a coworker who, she used to just kind of have it on the side. So like after school or in summer, she would pick up clients to make a little bit extra money and to help them because there is such a big need. There is a high demand, I think, in any field nowadays. There's a lot. But I'm trying to think, I think there's about 50 in my class, which now they've even made it smaller than that. And I think there's over 300 applicants. So it's pretty hard. And so, but yeah, and then I was in the Toledo area. So like all of the Toledo area was like super overpopulated because there was 50 of us all trying to find jobs. But yeah, there's definitely a need for speech therapists. The best parts, I would say, are when something I really enjoyed about a nursing home is that you are changing kids' lives or changing their lives. Like some of these people come in and have a feeding tube and they can't eat and they haven't ate for 6 weeks and you're having them eat again or teaching them to talk again. So that was so cool. And it was just a very neat thing to watch and experience that with those patients. But in a school, the concept is very similar, like watching a kid get something they have not gotten or watching them improve astronomically on something that they've been working on, you've been working on, or finally the teacher's like, oh, I understand what they say. You finally feel like you're impacting them, I guess. Mm-hmm. And just in a nursing home, I was seeing people a half hour every day, 5 days a week, where in a school, I don't get that opportunity. So it's a little bit harder to make that progress. Or when kids like sprint up to you and give you a hug or stuff like that. Like those are just things that, I don't know, are awesome.
Right.
Challenges, I think sometimes advocating and just in general for patients and for students, like in a nursing home insurance, they can cut a patient at any minute when they're not ready. And right. So that's hard. And even like same within the school advocating, making sure they're getting all of their needs or everything. I think it's hard sometimes to not take work home. I think as a teacher, you know that, or not take the burden of your kids or students or something like that. But that was one thing I always say was good about my first job is when I left, I had to be done. Like I couldn't bring paperwork home. I couldn't type at home where I was like, now I can, but I feel like it did set a decent precedence that I'm decent at like doing that, compartmentalizing, I guess. Mm-hmm. But I'm sure my husband would say the opposite. Even in our career, we're all still learning and we're all still adjusting to everything, and that it's okay to mess up and to admit that and continue to, I don't know, work hard. I feel like I wish I could tell my younger self it's okay to struggle, and that's okay. You can still become what you want to become.
If you liked this Joust About Careers episode, you can explore previous episodes and highlights to learn about even more careers of Van Buren graduates. To be sure you don't miss upcoming episodes, Please click subscribe on YouTube or your favorite podcast platform so you'll know when the next episode is released. Thank you for spending a portion of your day with us, and we hope you will continue to prepare for your future by learning just about careers.